This is Birmingham, England's second city, or as anyone from Manchester would obviously know, Britain's third city. But this week Bike Shows UK doesn't actually come from the city of Birmingham. Instead, we've travelled around 25 miles to the southwest, into the quiet countryside around Great Whitley, just the other side of Kidderminster. And this is me behind the wheel of this flash motor. Blimey, if this car was any yellower, it'd be a mobile banana. Motorbikes are marvellous. I don't think any of us would disagree with that statement, but cars can be useful too, especially if you've got to move lots of people and lots of kit about the place, like if you were, making a television programme. This is the new Skoda Octavia VRS. It's got leather seats, air conditioning, a CD player and a stonking 1.8 litre turbocharged motor. It's modern, it's clean, it's sophisticated. In fact, it's the exact opposite of the bikes, yes, the bikes, that we'll be featuring this week. They are old, they are noisy, they rattle, they burn oil and they make a huge amount of noise because this is a classic bike event with a difference. Oh yes, instead of just standing around being admired, they get thrashed mercilessly up a dirty great big hill just over there. The Red Marley hill climb's history begins when a young Len Vale Onslow had a vision and the inspiration to get it all started. But Len wasn't here to ride today. At 103, he's a little too frail. He had to release the balloons that signal the start of Red Marley 2003.
The rumour has it he was riding through Great Whitley, saw this hill, saw the Landowner and said, I'd like to have a American-style hill climb up there, and the Landowner said nobody could go up there on a bike. So he went up, and then he went up again with somebody on the back and knocked his tooth out. And that's how it all started, really. It was all through old Lenny Onslow.
Red Marley is one of the oldest motorcycling events, not just in Britain, but in the world. It seems quite remarkable, but 80 years ago, guys like Len Vale Onslow were riding the bikes down to Red Marley and pitting themselves, man and machine, against the hill, although it wasn't actually this hill, to tell the truth. The original course was just over there, but they've moved for various reasons to this hill, got a nice friendly landlord, and it's given them the opportunity to make it a little bit more challenging. In fact, I think that very top bit might just be a bit too challenging. The original Red Marley hill climb had a long famous history, but the event stopped in the early 70s, leaving a big hole in the diaries of many bikers.
We did have our entries returned, said there was a lack of entries. I don't know. The attendance had dropped off over the last few years. Whether they put it down to that or whether it was too much work at the end of the day.
It carried on until the 70s, the early 70s, 1970, when it finished. Waning interest, arguments between the AMCA and the ACU, and it was modern two-strokes and Japanese stuff coming in.
When the event was revived in 2000, they thought it'd be a great idea to make it a classic hill climb, and so no bikes that were made after 1970 were allowed to enter.
I grew up with classic bikes. I worked for James Motorcycles back in the 1950s, late 1950s. That's how I started my motorcycling.
It's the only classic hill climb in the UK, and of course they'd love it to be an annual event as long as they don't have the bad luck of 2001.
We couldn't do it because of foot and mouth. We had to cancel within 6 weeks. Lost a small fortune.
While everyone's taking a break, we thought we'd quickly get the opportunity to show you the start. Now it just looks like a bit of rough grass. It isn't. There's actually a metal grid embedded in the ground, and yes, that is the origin of the turn starting grid, and it's there because if it wasn't, the first few riders would just dig a great big hole and everyone else wouldn't have a chance. Now, I've actually ridden here before on the old hill, and there is a technique to getting a good start here. The last thing you want on one of these thumping great 4-stroke British singles is first gear. That's really ornamental. You want second, weight over the front of the bike, plenty of clutch slip, off you go, grab third as soon as you can and get up the hill. Well, that's what I think. But what advice to the guys who actually built the course have to offer?
You've either got to be very good at what you do, or you've got to be like the rest of us, take your brain out and just hang on for grim death.
Not a great lot of technique to it. On the start grid there's a mesh so you can't hold the bike flat out, and
and drop the clutch because your just bike could go over backwards. So you have to treat it with a bit of respect until you've got off this mesh, and then you can go as fast as you possibly can. If the bike prepares right, the ride is good. It's just a question of speed. If they're confident enough to open the throttle and go for it.
So, let's walk you through the course, blow by blow, as it were. Now the start's just there, and this bit looks easy, doesn't it? And that's because it is a gentle 1 in 10 slope. They call it the tennis court because that's exactly what it used to be. But don't worry, it's about to get much, much harder. Well, I don't like the look of this. It's the track and access road for agricultural vehicles. It's all been packed down hard. It's very stony. I don't want to part company with the bike here. I'm going to stand on the pegs, power it on, get up that hill. Well, about halfway up and it's starting to get steep. Believe it or not, some of the guys will actually get air off this rather modest bump. The machine will leave the ground, which looks impressive, but it's not really what you're after. A race like Red Marley on the old bikes is all about being a bit more wily, having a bit of racecraft about what you're doing. If, that is, you want to beat your opponent, get to the top of that hill before him and progress to the next round. Right, you're nearly at the top, but guess what? This is the hardest bit. In fact, would you believe this section is actually 1 in 1.5, which means that try as you might, you can't actually walk up there. And I'm going to try and ride a 40-year-old motorcycle up there. That can't be a good idea. Here it is, the finish line. And if you manage to make it here, no mean achievement in itself. You'll want to do it before the other guy, because remember, there's 2 of you coming up head to head at the same time. Now, believe it or not, the best time set on this hill last year was 22.2 seconds. Unbelievable, that's right, from right down there to here in 22.2 seconds. A guy called Challinor did it on a Triumph Matisse, and he's back this year. I wonder if he has any tips for me. Well, here's the bike and here's the man. It's Challinor. He's got the #1 plate from last year, and I'm sure he's determined to return it this year. Terry, what's the secret of winning here at Red Marley?
Well, obviously, being the fastest one is the whole idea of it. I think making the start, getting a good start, and well, just hanging on, flat out and hanging on.
So tell us about the bike. Why is this bike so successful here?
650 Triumph Matisse. It was built about 1964, but obviously it's been rebuilt many times since. But well, really, just it suits it. It is a scrambler because we are racing against grass machines as well, which are methanol burning 500cc, well, semi-speedway type machines. And but it is quite rough up there, so we do have an advantage with using a scrambler as against a grass machine.
Playing around with a hill like this needs very understanding landowners, and they are. Jeff and Judy Goodman have a goose farm on the land. Don't they mind these bikers?
It's a pleasure to see people enjoying the countryside, enjoying our facilities, and the Matchless Club are so good at all the organising, we leave it to them. Yes, I'm a true Brit myself, and anything to keep our heritage going. And because Red Marley on the other hill was always a great success, and UC Old Phil was always in everything, it's brilliant to see things being revived in this country. We've got to keep our heritage.
How very British of her. We're actually filming this the day before the big hill climb. And as a curtain raiser, there's a classic bike trial, which I think I won't take part in myself, as I want to save my energies for the actual hill climb, which I am taking part in. There are just 3 classes here at Red Marley, up to 1940 unlimited, pre-1970 up to 350cc, and of course up to 1970 unlimited. Now, I've actually been sorted out with a very nice man called Ali with a BSA. I don't know what kind of BSA, could be a Bantam, could be a Rocket 3. We'll soon find out. In the meantime, got a bit of a quiz for you. There are no prizes, but classic bike buffs out there will be able to take part. All you have to do is identify the machine before the caption comes up. You've got about 5 seconds. Good luck. Any guesses yet? Yep, it's a Matchless Metisse. What about the next one? This BMW lookalike is actually made in Russia. It's either known as an Ural, after the Ural Mountains, or a Cossack. Well done if you got that one. And what about this one? Do the shots give it away? It's a Greeves, and it's a Greeves Hawkstone. named of course after the famous scrambling venue Hawkstone Park. Finally, any takers for this machine? Well, it's got a Villiers engine, so that should be at home on a Cotton, and indeed that's what it is. Congratulations if you spotted all 4 bikes correctly. Now, at the foot of the huge hill, you find the 100 House Hotel, a well-known local landmark which is also biker-friendly and welcomes the organisers of Red Marley to their regular meetings. This is the traditional night before do that raises funds for local charities. A few presentations, a bit of a tombola and a few beers to set you up for the next day of hill climbing. Fantastic. I left the party downstairs and decided to turn in for the night. After all, I had a big day coming up. I was competing on a bike I'd never ridden before. I'd never even seen it before. Now, which side are the gears on those old British bikes? I think I'll worry about that tomorrow. Now, that night, I had a weird dream that after weeks of fine weather, huge storm clouds appeared to ruin our hill climb. The dream was so vivid, it was as if it was actually happening. I woke up the next morning and my dream had come true. It was a disaster. Not only had the rain lashed down, but a real pea soup of fog had enclosed the hill. We actually couldn't see half of it. Would Red Marley have to be abandoned?
It was 3 o'clock last night. It was I was sleeping in the van behind me, and about 3 o'clock the heavens opened and the rain had just come down, thunder. I think it woke everybody up, must have done.
Join us in part 2 to find out if the sun really does shine on the righteous.